Thank you. Hey, everybody. It's so good to see you guys. Welcome to Tap Into Your G. This is our weekly Zoom call, as you know, because most of you are here every week. My name is Jalita Mims. I'm the founder of Raise Your Energy, and each week we explore practical mindset tools through gratitude, emotion, and elevation. And that helps us create more intention and to live the life that we are here to live. So let's go ahead and get ready to tap into our G. So, as you know, because you've been here over the past few weeks, we've been exploring gratitude and emotion, right? Gratitude taught us to notice, emotion taught us to understand. So, we discovered that our emotions aren't the problem, they are, Devontae, what are emotions? You ain't never did no pop quiz before.
Exactly, because but
Emotions are the messengers, right?
yes,
So
yes,
the messengers, they help us recognize when something is aligned and of course when something isn't aligned. So emotions, they help us or invite us to pay attention, to get curious, to become more aware of ourselves, right? But awareness is only the beginning, right? Because once you recognize that you're aligned with something, you still have a choice to make. Am I now going to continue living the same way? Or am I going to begin making choices that honor whatever I've discovered about what these emotions are telling me, like what message they're bringing? And that's where elevation begins. So, we're talking about elevation tonight. So, we've been learning for the past couple weeks how to listen to ourselves, right? Identify what thought am I having based on this emotion. So, tonight we're going to learn how to honor what you heard. Honor what it is that you discovered when you're like, okay, I'm feeling anxious because I'm having this thought. So now what? Right? So, as a quick reminder, the GEE framework of Raise Your Energy is built on three pillars: gratitude, emotion, and elevation. Gratitude helps you notice, emotion helps you understand, and then elevation helps you honor what you've discovered. Okay, so here's the part that's interesting. Once you can consistently honor what you've discovered, you will naturally begin to become more of the person that you're creating. And hopefully, everybody understands that it's always creation. Like we are trying to be the better version of ourselves, breaking out of old habits, adapting new mindsets. So, over the past several weeks, we mostly spent a lot of time talking about gratitude. Last 2 weeks, we talked about emotion, but now we're talking about elevation. So, what exactly is elevation? Devante? No, I'm just messing with you. I was messing with you that time. Like, all right. So sometimes it might be easy to misunderstand what elevation is. So when you hear the word elevation, you might think it means you always feel happy or you always think positive, you never have a bad day. But to me, that's not what elevation is. To me, elevation is not about pretending. It's not about avoiding or forcing something that doesn't fit. Elevation is making choices that honor what you've already discovered about yourself. So maybe, like me, you discovered that creating brings you alive. Maybe you discovered that you need more quiet than chaos. Some people like the chaos. Maybe you've discovered that a relationship that you're in no longer feels aligned. Or maybe your body, you discovered your body needs more rest. So we could discover maybe you've been putting everybody else's needs above your own, which I know that's easy to do, especially if you're still having challenges with being a people pleaser. A lot of times I think women fall into that category of being the support system. But when you discover these things about yourself, those discoveries matter because every discovery is telling you something about who you are, what you value, and what truly aligns with you. But just becoming aware of those things is not the end of it. That's the beginning, actually. So it's not the finish line, it's the invitation. Because elevation begins when you stop saying, I know, and you start asking, how do I begin living what I've discovered? And I know I keep picking on Devontae because it's easy and I love him. You on mute, thank God.
I say, yeah, you gonna leave me alone.
But it's just something that you practice. So picking on you, Devontae, a little bit, because I know sometimes you'll be like, I'm gonna say this, but I don't really mean it. even though we know our words have power. Like now, when I say this, don't take it like that because I know it sounds like I'm complaining, but I'm not really complaining. You know what I mean? So it's taking it a step further and taking action. Not saying you don't take action, of course, Devontae, right?
Mm,
But I don't think I think elevation is not something that you achieve, it's something you practice. You know, so if one day you're thinking, one day I'll get there, one day I'll be elevated. But what if elevation isn't a destination?
mm,
What if elevation is actually a daily decision? And it's not one big decision, it's hundreds, probably thousands of little decisions. The decision to get out of bed when you rather just stay there, right? The decision to meditate instead of immediately picking up your phone the moment that you wake up to see how many DMs you have on Instagram. The decision to go for a walk. The decision to have a difficult conversation or speak up for yourself or to say no when you would normally say yes, to create instead of procrastinate, to rest when your body's asking for rest instead of pushing through to do something that might end up hurting yourself. You know, it's about choosing what aligns with the person that you're becoming. And I honestly believe that's what elevation really is. It's not just one extraordinary moment, but it's ordinary choices. It's everyday choices that you make with extraordinary intentions, right? So if that's true, I think everybody on this call has probably experienced moments when we knew what the next right choice was, but making the choice wasn't easy. So let me ask you this. Has there ever been a time when you learned something about yourself, but it still took you a while to make a change? Just think about if you learned something about yourself, but it still took you a while to make a change. So I'll go first if no one has anything immediate, you know, and it's no pressure. And I have been getting some good feedback from some of you about taking more time to allow you guys to think about an answer before just like, okay, come on, who's answering? And then I move on. So I do apologize. I'm working on my patience and my cadence. So as an example, I shared if you guys were here last week that years ago I was working as a server. So you know, like I said, I worked really hard, um, and I knew something wasn't aligned. I had a belief, and I still have a belief that I don't have to work hard for money. But every day I was going to work and doing work that reinforced the exact opposite because I was working hard as hell, right? And I knew it, I felt it, but it still took me time to leave that job. It took courage. It took trusting that there was another way because awareness alone doesn't change your life. It only changes your perspective. And last week we talked about position versus perspective. It's your choices that change your life. So for me in that situation, eventually I did honor what I had discovered. I left, and then 2 weeks later, there was an opportunity that found me that paid me 10 times more an hour. And it's not because I became lucky, but my choices finally align with what I already knew, right? So can anybody else relate to that? You know, it doesn't have to be a story about work, but
I mean, I can. Before I used to think that, when I know something is right, I want the person to get it right then and there. Like if, how can I say it? I'm just going to use one of my good friends, Destiny, as an example. We'll get into like these little arguments. I'm like, well, I'm right, I'm right. But I never really looked at myself to be like, well, she can be right too. So,
mm,
I just feel like now when I think I'm right, I always still like not try to push my, I guess, opinions or what I believe to the other person to let them get what they're trying to express to get them out, like not slowly just shutting them down, like, well, this is what you're supposed to do because this way. So I noticed I have, because when I see those type of things, I'm just like, Devontae, even though you were right, but you was actually wrong too.
yeah, because what's right to you might not be right to someone else, but it's good that you understand, like, okay, maybe I need to choose to hear the other person out. And even
Mm.
in the moment when you're thinking it, you may still not do it in that moment, but the awareness is good. Thank you for sharing that. Anybody else have any moments they want to share that you knew what the right choice was, but it just wasn't easy to choose that right choice?
I'll
Yeah.
go.
Oh,
Oh, okay.
okay.
Go ahead. You can go
Go,
ahead.
Seth, you can go ahead first and then leave. You can go after she completes her thought. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. I realize in some situations, I stay in things longer than I need to when
Mm,
meaning just like if it's still like it served its purpose in that moment, but sometimes it's still like I'm still there. And those other moments that I'm there, sometimes it just doesn't serve me anymore, but I'm still there just out of like, well, maybe it'll change or what if something happens? It's just like a safety net. So, and
yeah.
in some and in some of those moments, I should have like left a relationship, left a marriage, left a job,
Yes, preach,
multiple
sister.
things. Yeah. So
It's
that's
hard, when it's like you want to kind of deny your intuition because I believe it's your intuition nudging us towards the alignment of who we want to be. This relationship, this job, this place experience is not aligned, and I know it, I feel it, but sometimes it does take time to actually take the action. But I think
yeah,
awareness, it's good to be aware, but now especially that you know that sometimes it takes me longer to leave something that doesn't serve me. Maybe now you can expedite the time frame moving forward, because you're aware this is a habit of mine or this is a pattern. But yeah, so thank you for sharing that.
yeah.
Lee, go ahead, please.
Yeah, like before I got the house, I was living in the hood, and I'm a hood baby, so it was a lot of the lifestyle I didn't want for my kids, but I was indulging in.
Mm.
So
Do as I say, not as I do type of.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mm.
So once I started, seeing that you know some of that stuff wasn't serving me, and I wanted more and wanted better, and the folks around me just was comfortable where they was at. You know, it became hard to want to just lead them where they was at to
Mm.
get to where I'm at.
Yeah, and if it's in two different places, you can't, everybody can't go. Sometimes it's just that realization of like, these people don't feel right anymore. Like, yeah, we used to fit, but now it doesn't fit because I'm elevating myself and they're staying stagnant. So, yeah, thank you for sharing that. Anybody else want to share a time where you knew, there was a different choice you should have made, but it was just very difficult for you to initially make the choice. Maybe you still haven't made the choice.
I'll speak because I still haven't made the choice.
Okay, what's the choice?
I'm
Thank you for
guilty.
choosing to speak. Go
I'm
ahead.
guilty, y'all. So,
Okay.
so when I work out, I like the way I look. I like the way I feel. I like the way I think. And I'm talking about like on a roll, a rhythm of working out, like
Mm,
part of your life. But it seemed like, and this is not why I haven't started up, but every time I start working out really hard, like really in the groove, something happens. So one time I got COVID, another time I fractured my leg. Come on now, Brittany.
Devontae, can you mute Brittany? Hey, Brittany, you look cute. Okay, go ahead, Ivory.
Finish.
You finished? You like, I'm finished. I'm never working out again. Okay, thanks for sharing, Ivory. I'm
Get
just
back
kidding.
started, but you come up with all of these excuses. It's not about nothing other than just not putting in the work, you know.
Hmm.
So when you don't put in the work, you get the no work results. You don't like the way you look in your clothes. You wish you should have brought the other shirt, and all
Yep.
this
You
stuff.
like, I got these bus driver arms. Well, you don't have that, but that's my problem. But yeah, among other things.
A whole bunch of stuff.
Yes. Those
You
are
know,
great examples though. Thank you for sharing that because I was thinking that too because I got a bunch of stuff like, yeah, I use that job as an example, but some of my personal habits, things, just lifestyle choices that I'm like, now, why would you keep doing this or not doing this? So it's just about taking that extra effort to make the choice. So yes, thank you again, y'all, for sharing. So as you shared, or maybe as you were listening, you might realize that what naturally elevates you is maybe spending time with your family, maybe serving others, maybe like me, creating, maybe being in nature. I know Ivory likes to have fun. She likes roller skating and doing artsy stuff, going to the botanical garden that makes you feel alive and like in tune with who you are. Maybe it's the quiet moments that you have before everybody else in the house wakes up. But whatever came to mind or that people shared, one thing is true. Elevation is very, very personal. So what naturally elevates me might not be what naturally elevates Ivory, right? And that's exactly the way it should be. Because I don't think elevation is about copying somebody else's life. It's about paying attention to your own. It's about paying attention to your own. Elevation is so personal. And one of the biggest lessons that I've learned is that there's a difference between escaping and elevating. And sometimes we might confuse the two. So there are things that help us to avoid stress for a little while, right? And there are also things that genuinely leave us feeling lighter, more energized, more peaceful, having fun. You feel more like yourself. But those aren't always the same thing. So if you think about it, have you ever done something because you thought it would make you feel better, but then afterwards you didn't feel any better at all? Maybe you even felt worse, you know? I know I have. Because sometimes we make mistakes and we mistake something as temporary relief for something that's true elevation. And it's really not the same thing. The temporary relief helps you escape how you feel. It's just, I don't know, you might have a drink, you might do something scrolling on Instagram just to get your mind off of something, but that's temporary. But when you have true elevation, it leaves you feeling more like yourself. And that's a really important distinguish between escape and elevation. So, like I said, scrolling social media might distract you for a little while, or binge watching, Grey's Anatomy might help you forget about a stressful day. Maybe shopping gives you a temporary emotional boost. You might even like to complain. That sometimes feels good for a few minutes, get on the phone with your bald head friends and talk some trash a little bit. But once those moments are over, then how do you really feel? You know? Do you feel elevated or do you just feel like you was able to complain? You know what I mean? So now this is for Ivory. Think about something else. Have you ever, Ivory, like, oh no, what is she about to say? Have you ever finished?
Still stuck on bald head friends. You ain't
Oh,
see what she
oh,
talking about.
Ivory, why would you say that? So Ivory, but when I just for anybody not to be offended, when I use the word bald head, it's more of a mindset than a physical feature, right? It's just like that. Ivory, I love you. So, okay, so back to where I was gonna go with this is have you ever finished a workout and thought, I'm really glad I did that, That felt really good. And I know Devontae, you're in a fitness journey right now, and it's been numerous times that you're like, it feels really good. I'm glad I went to the gym anyway, even though it was rest day, you know what I mean? So you felt elevated by doing that. You know what I mean? Because it aligned with what you want, feeling better, caring for yourself, loving on you, right? Or maybe you had a conversation that left you feeling encouraged or inspired or understood. It could be a tap into your G Zoom call. Who knows, right? Maybe you spent some time creating something or learning something, meditating, praying, reading, taking a walk. There's so many different things that could elevate you depending on who you are, what your likes are, or even if you just get an opportunity to sit quietly with your own thoughts. And then after you do those things that are elevating you, you didn't just feel distracted by the gym. You didn't feel distracted by creating a piece of artwork. You felt more tapped in. You felt more like yourself, right? So that's the difference between escaping and elevating. One is temporary relief, and the other one creates lasting fulfillment. So, um, when I was working on this, my notes for tonight, I realized that this is basically what I experienced last week. So last week I talked about, I started getting to know somebody, and initially when I shared it, I thought it was about dating, right? But it really wasn't. It was about elevation. It because I kept noticing the same thought. Like I'd rather be creating. I'd rather be working on my Zoom call. I'd rather be posting my content, while I'm supposed to be concentrating or focusing on being in this moment. I didn't want to be there, you know? And I didn't understand at first why that kept coming up. But the more I paid attention, I started to realize that my emotions were showing me that being creative elevates me.
Mhm.
Teaching elevates me. Helping people elevates me. When somebody comes to me and is like, you really helped me with something, or I like your perspective. My brother told me when I was with him after the funeral, he was like, you're the best sister and the best human in the world. And I know that's not maybe the truth, but it felt really great. I felt elevated because it's like I'm making a difference, even though I have my own feelings, about his struggles in his life, but he still sees me as somebody that he can look up to. So that made me feel elevated. Building this community elevates me. Writing, the things that I'm doing aren't just things that I enjoy, but they're things that consistently have me feeling more like myself. And that completely changed how I looked at that situation, me getting to know that person. I wasn't judging him. I wasn't looking for something that was wrong. I was discovering something that was right. I was learning more about myself. And once I recognized that, the question became, am I willing to honor what I've discovered? Like when Ivory was like, I discovered going to the gym feels really good, but sometimes I'm not able to honor that, for whatever the reason is. But I think that's the question elevation is asking us. Are you willing to honor what you've discovered? It's not what makes everybody else happy, not what does my mama think I should do, or what's the friend group gonna say about this decision, but what is that thing that consistently leaves me feeling more like myself? So can anybody here relate to that? If you think about it, what's something that consistently leaves you feeling energized and happy and more like yourself and aligned, that thing that you can do that's like, okay, this is nice. This feels like who I am.
So
Yeah,
something
go ahead.
happened to me today. I'm in Atlanta, and I just been feeling the last couple of days just a little off, kind of, not really depressed, but just off. And I'm just like, oh, it's Atlanta, it's Atlanta. And then, but I was in the shower earlier, and then I was just like, what's missing? And I was like creating, like I'm not
Mm,
creating anymore. So, and I just went down this whole rabbit hole on a project that I had supposed to already been doing, and I just got excited again, about it. And of course, sometimes with me in projects, it stresses me out. And I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna do a little bit at a time. So I may just look at some footage, or I may put something on the timeline, but don't put no pressure, no date, but just start
mm,
doing that because if I look back over the last, let's just say, 7 years of my life, when I'm creating, it's a different type of stress, but I'm happy. I'm more,
mm.
like, but yeah. So, and I noticed that I have not been creating in the last couple of years like I was doing before. I just kind of be like, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing with my life. So
Yeah, but
I
you
do
do
think,
know because
hmm
you feel when you miss when you're not doing that thing.
yeah.
But go ahead.
But yeah, so that's what I wanted to share.
That's a good one, and I can strongly relate to that. Anybody else have anything that, you know, you feel energized when you do it? It's like, wow, if I could do this every day.
I would say,
Better.
go
Go
ahead, Lee.
ahead,
Go
Rick. No, no, no. You go ahead.
ahead. Okay. Lee fighting me to
Y'all
go.
like Chip and Dale. Thank you. No, thank you. Go ahead.
So today I've been collecting these bottles, right? Because I collect bottles, meaning my own bottle, or should I say I save bottles, right?
Mhm.
And I used to cash them in, but since the pandemic, I just I give them away to whoever, and they actually collect bottles up just walking up my block. So
So you just to be clear, do they get a deposit refund for the bottles or is it just for recycling purposes?
no,
For the money. Okay.
for the money.
Okay.
So today I leave the house. I have like in between $13 and $15, which is a lot for my apartment of bottles. I'm like, Raja, the bottles gotta go. So I'm walking and I'm like, Raja, I hope we give it to somebody who appreciate them. And I was like, that's the real big thing. Then I said, no, the big thing is that we giving it to them to do as they wish. But hopefully we come across somebody that really, want them, need them. So we walking across the bridge from the Bronx to Manhattan, and I see this man digging in the garbage, but he clean, clean. He got his shopping cart and this, that, or whatever. So he come out the garbage and he's walking in our direction. So I said, "You want some bottles?" And he said, "Me?" And I'm like, "Yes." And then a guy that was in the street, a young guy, he stopped, right? So he's listening to me and the man talk, and I'm like, "What happened?" And he was like, I wanted those bottles. And I was like, "Oh, okay." And then I asked the man, I said, you a cash him?" He was like, "Yeah." But his response, he was so grateful. And I basically just blew the young guy off. He looked like he was about 19 years old. You fine riding a bike.
Right.
You don't need these bottles. And the man that was collecting them wasn't like all broke down. He wasn't dirty. He didn't look homeless. But that don't mean you're not hungry. That don't mean you're not struggling.
Right.
And it sure didn't mean he wasn't grateful. So I was like, he was like, "Thank you so much." I said, "I just told my son that I hope that we give them to somebody, end up giving them to somebody that's grateful." He was like, "I am." And then he shook my hand, and then he went to shake Raja's hand. So I said, "Raja, give him some dap." And then he was like, "Thank you so much, man." And I really appreciated that, because just so y'all know, my son is autistic and nonverbal. And you can easily pick up that he's different, right? And so he acknowledged his appreciation to Raja. Like that's he concluded that when he realized Raja was special needs, he was like, "Thank you so much, man." And I appreciated that. And
So,
in fact, he was like, "I'm going to cash him right now." And he turned around. Right. He turned around. He must have been, I think he was coming from cashing some bottles.
mm,
He had a cart and plastic bags in it, which he probably reused his bags. But giving back, a certain kind of giving back. Like me and Raja left the house with that on our agenda. It was the opposite
yeah.
direction from where we was going. So that was like out of our way, but it was still something I wanted to do. And I wanted to be a part of his life, the giving back. So for me, the giving back, if I need to find a task that I could do more often than what I do, because it feels so good every time. You
Yes. And I
know,
know that for a fact with you, because you are such a giver, and part of your work is community based where you have access to certain things, or like Ivory has given me, like, "Hey, you want this t-shirt from this parade?" I'm gonna tell them one time, Ivory was like, "Oh, do you use lube? I got a bunch of lube." Like she's always getting these trinkets or leftovers, things that are being given away for free. And I do know that that is something for sure that is part of what elevates Ivory is helping others and giving. So that's a great, great example. Lee,
thank
go ahead. Thank you, Ivory.
Yeah, so what makes me feel energized and stuff now is I like to tell jokes.
Oh God.
Yeah. I ain't funny, but I am funny. You know, but I enjoy my own laughter and stuff now because I used to be stiff. So
Mm,
being able to laugh now and enjoy it brings man, it makes me really happy.
that's big. That's important too. Like we're like, oh, giving back to the community and creating something great. But you like just to take it easy and be able to laugh instead of being so uptight. So that's amazing. And that is more aligned with who you want to be, because it feels good. If it's energizing, then it's aligned, it's on track with what you want. So good. That's good. That was a good one too, that I hadn't even thought about that part. Anybody else want to share anything about what energizes them before we continue?
So I got something that's a little different, but just something I want us to think about, and then maybe this will energize us as well. So think about 20 years from now, and then think
Mm.
about this moment that we're in now. So we need to make the best that we can out of, the time that we have, because time go by so fast. So I was thinking this morning as I was going through my whole, kind of routine, it was just like the stuff that we're worrying about now, like the little small things, is not going to matter 20 years from now. So as we go through like certain things in life, just know that it's not always going to be like this, and that we are working towards something greater. I know that's off the subject, but on the subject, but I just thought
No,
I'd
it's
share that.
not. Because I think it's a good reminder of like what's really important. Like in
Mhm.
10 years from now, is it going to be important?
Yeah.
Does it matter that I gave this man the bottles? Yes, that matters. You know what I mean? Because it was elevational for Ivory and the guy and her son. So 20 years from now, that's something Ivory will probably still remember, the gratitude that the man had. You know what I mean? So I think that's great. So thank you for the people that shared. And if you notice, if y'all were listening, nobody said they're energized by checking more emails.
Oh, no.
Nobody's energized by paying bills. Nobody said, and I'm surprised Lee didn't say this, nobody said sitting in traffic feels energizing. Atlanta traffic is just horrendous, right? But every answer had one thing in common. It helped you feel more like yourself. It felt good to do it. It felt better than not doing it, right? And that's really elevation. It really is. So, because now we've identified some things that elevate us, so we know what those things are. But the challenge isn't discovering what elevates us, because sometimes it's like, oh, I know I like to read a book for 3 hours out the day, but my schedule doesn't allow that. So I'm not going to choose to read the book. I'm going to go ahead and do the other things. So it's not the challenge of discovering what elevates you. The challenge is to be able to choose it consistently, because life gets busy, responsibilities pile up, people need us, work is demanding our attention. And before you know it, the very thing that makes you feel most like yourself becomes the very thing that you telling yourself, like, I can get back to it when I have time. But like Devontae said, 20 years from now, it's like, dang, I still didn't get to do that thing that elevates me because I was putting everybody else first. But what if those things that elevate you aren't things that you should just squeeze into your life? What if those are the things that are helping you to create a better life? So I think that's why the daily choices matter so much, because every one of those choices that you make every day, think of it as a vote, right? Like casting a ballot. And you're voting for the person that you're becoming. Every time you choose something that aligns with your values, your purpose, your well-being, you're casting another vote. Not for who you used to be, but for who you're creating, right? And the beautiful thing is those votes add up. Maybe not overnight, but because of one, or not because of one big decision, but it's because of just regular, ordinary, everyday choices that you repeat consistently. And that eventually becomes your life. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's a decision, to make that shift, to understand, to recognize, like, what are those things that I enjoy doing that elevate me, you know? Devante, can you, okay, thank you. All right. Um, so if anybody has pen and paper on the call, or you can use your phone notes if possible. But I would like us to do just a quick little exercise, just something to write down, and I'm going to put it in the chat too, so you'll have it there. And I'll give you a few minutes to do this. So what I would like you to do I would like you to write down 3 things, right? I wanted you to write what elevated me today, right? Was something that, made me feel good today. What depleted me today? So, what's something that did the opposite of energize me? Like, what was something that might have drained you? And what's one small choice I can make tomorrow to honor what I've discovered about myself? So, I'm putting these in the chat. So, it's what elevated me today, what depleted me today, and what's one small choice I can make tomorrow to honor what I've discovered about myself. So Lee is like, I don't have no paper at my house. You just walking around out on the porch. Just forget it, Lee. No, I'm just kidding. I'm picking on you. You're the only one with your camera on right now. So yes, I'll give you guys a minute and a half or 2 minutes. What elevated me today? What depleted me today? What's one small choice I can make tomorrow to honor what I've discovered about myself? You don't have to overthink this. Just be honest with yourself. So what elevated me today, what depleted me today, what's one small choice I can make tomorrow to honor what I've discovered about myself? And I can give you guys one more minute. Okay. Is anybody wanting to share what you wrote down? And you can choose one thing. It could be something that elevated you, something that depleted you, or a small choice you can make tomorrow to honor what you discovered about yourself.
I'll go.
Okay, yes, go ahead, please.
What elevated me today? I went to church.
Oh, nice.
It's been a minute since I've been to church. But I have a confession on that. My niece was singing a solo, so that was the main reason of me getting to church. And I'm not always as fond of my little brother's church, but
Mm.
I still went.
Oh, what be happening at the church? What happened at the church? Why
Nothing
I'm
be,
just
I
messing with
just,
you.
I'm like, yeah, like, yeah, it's just, but it was okay. It wasn't bad at all today. It felt like, it felt okay. So, but
Good.
yeah, that was a good thing. Yeah.
Oh,
So,
good. Thank you for sharing that.
mhm.
That's good. Anybody else want to share something you wrote down about what elevated you or depleted you or a small choice you can make tomorrow to honor what you discovered about yourself?
I'll give two. One
Okay.
thing that elevated me, I did my normal. I fussed at an old man today because I felt so good, y'all. He did too. So
He
we
did too.
we getting on we on the bus. The bus is crowded. Me and Raja in the front. So for people to get off, I'm getting off the bus. I get off. A man is getting on the bus with his cane and a little shopping cart. It's not a shopping cart. I don't know what they call it. Look like a bag attached to some wheels. And he's struggling to get on. So I'm like, "Do you want me to help you?" And he was like, "Yes." And I'm like, "How come you just didn't let the bus driver flip the thing out, like the ramp?"
Mm-hmm.
And so he didn't say nothing. So when we got on the bus, he got on. I told Raja, make sure, give him enough room because Raja be like moving. The man sat down. I said, next time, let them flip it out. Like, that's their job. And it's going to be easier for you and safer. So he was like, okay. So I felt good. I feel good fussing at the old people because because they like that. And then in terms of the depletion, I can't think of I'm working really hard just to be grateful and just trying to let people do what they're gonna do, be how they're gonna be. Maybe fussing at the old man. I felt good about it. I don't feel like it depleted me, but if God was judging me, maybe I would. Maybe that was a depletion as well.
No, it wasn't. I think if it depleted you, you wouldn't have felt good about it. Depletion would have made you feel, it might have depleted him if he was getting fussed at.
God
But
and the devil there at the same time.
yeah, so I think that's good. Thank you.
Thank
Anybody else want to share?
I guess I'll go. It's kind of, we already kind of talked about it, but I think what elevated me today is just reminding myself on what makes me happy.
Mm,
Like just and getting back to it. Even if it's a little bit at a time, even if it, just doing at least something that makes me happy to keep me out of, I'm not gonna say a dark place, but just to keep, just to keep me happy.
that's good. It's important just to recognize the things, because sometimes you
Mhm.
do something and it could just be so simple. I
Yeah.
have my theme song Devontae made for me. I listen to that thing on repeat every chance I get. I'm probably listening to that song 1,000 times, but every time it's like I never heard it. Even though I know all the words, I'll just be smiling like a fool. It literally elevates me. If I'm having a down moment, that's my go-to now, where it's just like that's my elevation whenever I need it. Anybody else want to share what you might have written down or considered off of the questions?
Yeah, I got the Zoom, and I tell you about it on my third one. And the one that depleted me today, my daughter, man. I don't understand, always asking for money, man. I don't,
Get used to it.
nah. Hey, but listening to Ivory and Devontae talk about they working out, yeah, man. I was like, man, blueberry cheesecake been sitting heavy. Hey, I gotta choose better. So tomorrow, I'm gonna choose my workout. Over
You
the
got this.
cheesecake.
That's good. I think it's nothing wrong with choosing cheesecake over a workout. You like, look
Don't
at
listen
you.
to G. Don't
Clearly you
listen to
don't.
G.
I'm over here like, about to go find me something to eat in a few minutes.
Because I know I did bad this last 4 days. I done went to McDonald's and everything. I'm like, them 8 pounds I lost, I probably gained them back.
But the good thing is you know how to get back on track. It's hard. For me, some people may know I was a vegan for about a year at one point, and I was very committed to that lifestyle. Then I started eating fish, so I became a pescatarian. And then one Thanksgiving, man, it was just so many delicious meats. I was like, well, I'll just try it this one time. And I have not looked back since. I have not been vegan since. I haven't stopped eating meat and cheese since. And that was probably 2, 3 years ago. But I know how great it felt to be vegan. I know how my body changed so quickly. It felt good, but I'm like, them wings just taste better than that felt. Now that I went back. But I know, obviously, the meat and processed food is not the best choice. But it's just hard, even when you know, to go back to the thing that should elevate you. So, Ivory, don't laugh at me. I see you laughing, Ivory.
you.
Ivory,
You
go
said I
ahead.
haven't looked back.
I just did not. I think about it. I've mentioned to Devontae, like, start Monday. I'm gonna go back. Next thing I know, I'm like, let me get them 10 lemon peppers
That's
dried.
a lot of work. That's a lot of work. Just cut back, though.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Don't be dramatic and drastic. Yeah.
Yeah, no,
Baby
not,
steps.
not if that's really not what you want. You could. It's ways. You don't have to go cold turkey and hate mealtime. You know what I'm saying? You start hating yourself.
Yeah.
Just maybe every other day or something like that.
Yeah, you're right.
And
Or I could do
your
like
body
meatless
change,
Monday.
your body changes too. So I stopped eating meat in 2001. I stopped eating meat in 2001, all meat. And I started back eating fish in 2007, right? I was
Mm.
pregnant. I started back eating fish. Still no other meat. And that was in 2001. In 2018, I stopped eating eggs because the last two times I ate them, I gagged. So your body could
Oh,
change to the point where you don't even desire something
hmm.
no more.
You're
Uh,
right.
but don't drive yourself crazy. Don't
Oh,
drive
I'm not. Listen, that was a good example, but I really I only thought about it while we on the call. It's not like tomorrow I'm gonna be like, oh, I really shouldn't eat these lemon pepper wings. I'm gonna get me some wings. So, but thank you, Ivory. You had a great point. Anybody else want to share from their list before we wrap up the call? Okay. So I do appreciate everybody sharing, things from the list. And I think that it's a powerful reminder that sometimes we don't need more information. We just need to take time to pause so we can pay attention, right? Because awareness helps us recognize what's true, but it's our choices that we repeat day after day that actually shape the life that we're creating. So this week I have an experiment for you guys, or a challenge. But the good news is we already started. So tonight was day one. So basically, the things that I had you write down, if you can, I'd like you to just spend a few minutes at the end of each day this coming week to ask yourself those same three questions. What elevated me today? What depleted me today? What's one small choice I can make tomorrow to honor what I've discovered about myself? So nobody's expecting you to change your whole life this week. You don't have to make a major life decision. Just cast one more vote, one more intentional choice, one small step, because small choices, small steps repeated consistently create extraordinary lives. And before I close the meeting, did anybody else want to share anything or have any questions, any other input about elevation or gratitude, emotion?
I
Hmm?
put something in the chat.
Oh, sorry, my
I'm
assistant.
gonna name. I'm gonna name myself. Y'all, this about to be Leo season, so I guess I'm just acting up. I'm gonna name myself. I'm the quote lady. So I put like, look at Lee laughing. I put a little quote on the thing. Live, love, laugh.
That's so
It's a
important.
good thing.
I love it because it's,
Two of them.
I'm always laughing. I'm silly. Most people, if you know me personally, or even from these calls, I'm always trying to be funny. Not trying because I'm funny. Don't do that.
Who said
But
that?
hello, don't see me after class, Devontae McKinney. But yeah, laughter is the best medicine. Like when they said that, and I've even heard stories of people who have healed themselves through staying in the high vibration. This lady had breast cancer. She decided against chemo radiation, but she said her and her husband just laugh, 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 laugh 30 days straight. They just watched comedy, didn't even think about entertain, used the word cancer, went back to the doctor, and she was cancer free with no treatment. Just from raising her vibration to where it's just happy, laughing, goofy all day, because now the disease doesn't have a place to fester and grow because you've introduced ease instead of the dis-ease, right? So thank you, Ivory. The laughter is a big deal. So I would like you guys to remember that gratitude helps you notice, emotion helps you understand, and elevation is always going to help you honor what you've discovered. And when you can consistently honor what you've discovered, you naturally become more of the person you're creating, more of the person you're aligned with, more of that person that you truly want to be, you know? So I want to thank everybody for being here tonight. I do appreciate you, as always, spending part of your Sunday evening with me, and hopefully you'll join us again next Sunday. Next week, we're going to be building on tonight's conversation. So I'm coming up with more of like a curriculum where it's like one thing leads to the next thing, where because I do see there's kind of a regular group in our community here that's joining, so we can just move on to the next thing. So the next week, we're going to talk about alignment and the power of living in agreement with yourself. So I think that's going to be a very powerful discussion. Looking forward to it. Again, thank you guys so much for participating and for showing up, not for the Zoom, but for yourselves every week, because that's really what you're doing. You're open, you're sharing. I see you guys being vulnerable and just participating, and it is hopefully making a difference. If nothing else, it gives you something to look forward to on Sunday evening. So I think next week is going to be another meaningful discussion. And until then, please, everybody, be grateful, be happy, be mindful, and be you. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Fuji.
Thank you.
Yeah, so
Let me stop recording.
Later.
Boom.
everybody enjoy it.